At exactly hour 16 of your fast, something remarkable happens. A molecular switch flips inside every cell in your body. But that's just the beginning. What most people don't realize is that autophagy isn't a single event. It's a timeline, a cascading series of biological transformations that unfold hour by hour, each stage unlocking deeper levels of cellular repair. Most fasting guides give you vague answers. They say autophagy starts around 16 to 24 hours, and leave it at that. But your body doesn't work in generalities. It works in precision. At hour 12, your metabolism shifts. At hour 18, your brain chemistry changes. At hour 36, your immune system begins to rebuild itself. Every hour matters, and if you want to understand what's really happening inside you during a fast, you need the full timeline. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's occurring in your cells at every critical hour of fasting, from the moment you finish your last meal to the peak of autophagy at 72 hours. You'll understand when fat burning begins, when mental clarity hits, when cellular recycling reaches maximum intensity, and when your body crosses the line from repair into risk. This isn't guesswork. This is the science of what happens inside you, hour by hour, cell by cell. So let's start at the beginning. Hour 0. You've just finished eating. Your digestive system is processing food, insulin is elevated, and your cells are in growth mode. This is the fed state, where your body prioritizes building, storing, and using immediate energy. Autophagy is essentially turned off. Your cells have no reason to recycle damaged parts when fresh nutrients are flooding in. This phase lasts anywhere from 4 to 6 hours depending on what you ate. If it was a heavy meal with lots of carbs and fat, digestion takes longer. If it was light and protein-based, your body processes it faster. But here's what most people miss. Even in the fed state, your body is already preparing for what comes next. Insulin begins its slow decline. Digestive enzymes finish their work. And deep inside your cells, sensors are monitoring nutrient availability, waiting for the signal that it's time to switch modes. You're not fasting yet, but the countdown has begun. Hour 4 to 6. Digestion is complete. Your stomach is empty, but your bloodstream still has glucose circulating from your last meal. Insulin levels are dropping, but they're not low enough yet to trigger fat burning. This is the transition zone, the quiet before the metabolic shift. Your body is still running on external fuel, but it's starting to sense that the supply is running out. During this window, most people feel normal. Maybe a little hungry, but nothing dramatic. Your energy is stable because your liver is releasing stored glycogen, keeping your blood sugar balanced. Think of glycogen as your body's emergency battery, a short-term energy reserve that keeps you functional between meals. But this battery doesn't last forever, and once it starts to drain, everything changes. Hour 8 to 12. This is where the hunger hits. Your glycogen stores are depleting, and your body realizes food isn't coming. Ghrelin, your hunger hormone, spikes hard. Your stomach contracts. Your brain sends urgent signals. Find food. Now. This is the most uncomfortable phase of fasting for most people because your body is still in the mindset of constant feeding. It hasn't adapted yet. It's panicking. But here's the critical insight. This discomfort isn't weakness. It's transition. Your metabolism is shifting from sugar burning to fat burning, and that shift requires your body to activate pathways it hasn't used in hours, maybe days, maybe even years if you've been eating constantly. Insulin continues to fall. Glucagon, the hormone that signals fat release, starts to rise, and, deep in your liver, enzymes begin preparing to break down fat into ketones. You're not in autophagy yet, but you're standing at the doorway. Hour 12 to 16. The doorway opens. By hour 12, most people's glycogen stores are nearly depleted. Your body has no choice but to pivot. It starts breaking down fatty acids from your fat cells and converting them into ketones in your liver. Ketones are a completely different fuel source, cleaner, more efficient, and uniquely suited to power your brain during periods without food. This is when insulin hits its lowest point since you started fasting, and low insulin is the key that unlocks autophagy. With insulin suppressed, your cells receive the signal to stop growing and start cleaning. Damaged proteins are tagged for recycling. Malfunctioning mitochondria are identified. The cellular cleanup crew clocks in. At this stage, autophagy is beginning, but it's still mild. Your cells are warming up, testing the system, making sure it's safe to fully commit to repair mode. If you've fasted before, your body recognizes this state and transitions faster. If this is your first long fast, it might take a bit longer, but by hour 16, for most people, autophagy is undeniably active. Hour 16 to 20, autophagy accelerates. This is the sweet spot that most intermittent fasters aim for. At this stage, ketones are flowing steadily through your bloodstream, feeding your brain and muscles with stable energy. The mental fog that clouded hour 8 has lifted. You feel sharper, more focused, almost unnaturally alert. That's because your brain is running on ketones now, and ketones don't cause the spikes and crashes that glucose does. Inside your cells, autophagosomes, the tiny structures that perform cellular recycling, are actively identifying and consuming damaged components. Old proteins are broken down. Dysfunctional mitochondria are dismantled. Your cells are performing microscopic surgery on themselves, cutting out what's broken and rebuilding with what remains. Hunger, surprisingly, starts to fade. The desperate cravings from hour 8 have quieted. Your body has accepted the new reality. It's no longer waiting for external food. It's feeding on itself. And it's discovered that this fuel source is abundant. But here's the twist. This is just the beginning. Autophagy doesn't peak at 16 hours. It deepens. Hour 20 to 24. The intensity increases. By now, ketone production is in full swing. Your liver is converting fat into fuel at maximum efficiency, and your brain is thriving on this alternative energy source. Studies show that at this stage, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, starts to rise. BDNF is a protein that supports the growth and repair of neurons, essentially fertilizer for your brain cells. This is why so many people report heightened creativity, problem-solving ability, and mental clarity around the 24-hour mark. Your brain isn't just surviving without food, it's optimizing. Autophagy is now targeting deeper damage. Cells that have accumulated years of oxidative stress are finally getting the chance to repair. Inflammation markers throughout your body begin to drop. Your immune system, which has been quietly observing, starts to recalibrate. Old, worn-out white blood cells are marked for recycling, making room for fresh, more efficient immune cells to take their place. This is the phase where long-term benefits start to compound. You're not just burning fat anymore, you're renewing yourself at the cellular level. Hour 24 to 36. Peak cellular repair. This is where autophagy reaches its most powerful state. Research suggests that somewhere between 24 and 36 hours, autophagic activity hits its maximum intensity. Your cells are in full cleanup mode, dismantling damaged structures with surgical precision and recycling every usable component. Mitophagy, the specific form of autophagy that targets damaged mitochondria, is now running at full capacity. Mitochondria are the energy factories inside your cells, and when they malfunction, they produce harmful free radicals that accelerate aging. By clearing out these broken powerhouses and replacing them with new ones, your body is literally slowing down the aging process at the molecular level. Growth hormone, which began rising earlier, can spike up to 500% above baseline at this stage. This isn't about building muscle right now. Growth hormone during fasting serves a protective function, preserving lean tissue and encouraging fat metabolism. Your body is making sure that even in the absence of food, it doesn't cannibalize muscle. It prioritizes fat burning and cellular recycling instead. If you've ever wondered why some people report feeling stronger, not weaker, after a long fast, this hormonal shift is why. At this point, hunger is almost non-existent. You might think about food out of habit or boredom, but the physical sensation, the gnawing urgency, has disappeared. Your body has fully adapted to running on internal fuel. Before we go further, let me ask you this. What's the longest you've ever fasted? Have you made it to 24 hours? 36? 48? Drop a comment below with your record and what you felt at that stage. I read every single one, and your experience might help someone else understand what to expect. Hour 36 to 48. The immune reset begins. This is where things get truly remarkable. Research from the University of Southern California found that fasting for 48 to 72 hours can trigger the regeneration of the immune system. Old, damaged immune cells are broken down through autophagy, and when you eventually refeed, your body produces fresh, more effective white blood cells to replace them. It's like hitting a biological reset button on your body's defense network. At this stage, stem cell activity begins to increase. Stem cells are the master cells capable of becoming any tissue your body needs, and fasting appears to wake them up. This has profound implications for tissue repair, injury recovery, and even cancer prevention, though more human research is needed to fully understand the mechanisms. Ketone levels are sky high now. Your brain is running almost entirely on ketones, and the mental state is unlike anything most people experience in daily life. Some describe it as a meditative clarity, others call it a flow state. It's not euphoria, but it's not normal either. It's a quiet, focused presence, as if every distraction has been stripped away and all that's left is pure awareness. Evolutionarily, this makes perfect sense. When our ancestors went days without food, they needed to be sharp, not sluggish, to find their next meal. Fasting didn't make them weak, it made them hunters. Hour 48 to 72, the peak. By 72 hours, you've reached the deepest level of autophagy that most people will ever experience without medical supervision. At this point, your body has fully committed to internal recycling. Damaged cells, precancerous cells, senescent cells that have stopped dividing but refuse to die, all of these are being identified and cleared out. This process, called senolysis, is one of the most exciting frontiers in longevity research. Senescent cells contribute to aging and chronic disease, and fasting may be one of the most accessible ways to reduce their burden. But here's the critical part. This is also where the line between benefit and risk starts to blur. Beyond 72 hours, the advantages of fasting begin to plateau, while the risks, muscle breakdown, electrolyte imbalance, hormonal disruption, start to rise. For most people, 72 hours is the upper limit of therapeutic fasting. Beyond that, medical supervision becomes essential. Your body is incredibly resilient, but it's not invincible. Autophagy is a tool, not a miracle, and like any tool, it must be used wisely. So what happens when you break the fast? The moment you eat, insulin rises and autophagy begins to shut down. But this isn't failure. This is the completion of the cycle. Your cells have cleaned house, and now they're ready to rebuild. The nutrients you consume after a fast are used with remarkable efficiency. Your body prioritizes repair and growth, directing amino acids to rebuild tissues, vitamins and minerals to restore function, and energy to refuel depleted reserves. This is why the first meal after a long fast feels almost sacred. It's not just food, it's fuel for renewal. But here's the part most people get wrong. If you eat too much too fast, especially after a 48 or 72-hour fast, you risk refeeding syndrome, a dangerous shift in electrolytes and fluid balance that can stress your heart and organs. Breaking a fast requires as much care as starting one. Small portions, easily digestible foods, bone broth, steamed vegetables, light proteins. Give your digestive system time to wake up gently, so now you know the timeline. From hour 0 to hour 72, from the fed state to the peak of autophagy, every hour brings a new layer of transformation. You're not just skipping meals, you're guiding your body through a carefully orchestrated sequence of metabolic shifts, each one unlocking deeper levels of cellular repair. This is the power of fasting. Not deprivation, but optimization. Not starvation, but evolution. Your body remembers how to do this. It's been doing it for millions of years. You're just giving it permission to remember. If this timeline opened your eyes to what's really happening inside you during a fast, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into fasting science, and share this with someone who's been wondering when the magic actually begins. And if you want to know the 7 unmistakable signs that autophagy is working in your body, that's the video you need to watch next. Trust me, you'll finally understand what your cells are trying to tell you.